Some crimes shock a city, others haunt it forever. In the quiet, mist-laced town of Bellmoor, a string of vanishings turned into a nightmare that blurred the line between reality and legend. As families grieved and police struggled, a darkness moved silently, calculating, patient, and cold. This is the tale of the Bellmoor Butcher. Bellmoor, Maine, a postcard-perfect town of clapboard homes, lighthouses, and cobbled streets, was a place where time felt slower. The community was tight-knit, almost insular. Everyone knew everyone else. Tourists came for the foggy cliffs and artisan coffee. Crime? Almost unheard of. Yet beneath the calm surface, a small population of loners and recluses lived unnoticed. One of them was Dr. Alaric Holden, a retired professor with a passion for folklore and philosophy, and a long memory. Elise Manning, 26, had moved back to Bellmoor to care for her ailing father after college. Soft-spoken and deeply intelligent, she loved classic novels and had started a poetry club at the Bellmoor Library. But there was more. Elise had begun researching missing persons cases from Bellmoor's past. Old cases from the 60s and 70s. Her journals, later discovered, revealed she believed there was a connection between the town's fog, its caves, and an old belief system once practiced by a reclusive sect. On March 12, 2006, Elise vanished. She'd left her cat fed, a cup of tea still steeping, and her favorite scarf on the chair. Kenneth Lowell, 67, lived 2 streets down from Elise. He was once a well-respected biology teacher, widowed, with a quiet routine. Morning walks. Afternoon newspaper at the cafe. On March 28th, he didn't come home. His walking stick was found propped against a tree at the cliffside trail. No blood, no drag marks. A week later, Janice Taylor, 34, a barista who served both Elise and Kenneth daily, disappeared after her night shift. By early May, Ray Delano, 52, a cab driver and military vet, was gone. His cab was found abandoned by the docks, keys in the ignition. The pattern was undeniable. All had ties to Elise. Detective Mira Cavanaugh, transferred from Boston after a controversial case involving corruption, was assigned to Bellmoor. She was methodical, logical, and skeptical of small-town ghost stories. But soon she found that police records from the 1970s had vanished. Dozens of missing persons reports were unaccounted for. Elise had been digging into the same thing. One name came up again and again in those files. Dr. Alaric Holden, listed as interviewed but not charged in 3 past disappearances. Holden was a retired academic who gave free lectures on local mythology at the town hall. He spoke softly, quoted Nietzsche, and kept to himself. Holden had once worked at the St. Claver Institute, a remote psychiatric hospital accused of experimenting on socially isolated patients. The hospital was shut down in 1989 after a whistleblower claimed that Holden had psychologically broken several patients using isolation, deprivation, and symbolic roleplay. He was never charged, only dismissed quietly. Elise had written his name in the margins of her notebook, along with a phrase that recurred throughout her writings. He collects the silent ones. The St. Maro Caves, once used for bootlegging, had become popular among teenagers. But deep within the restricted sections, search teams found carvings, Greek, Latin, and some undeciphered symbols. A deeper chamber revealed ritual objects, antique lanterns, iron chains, bones, both animal and human. Forensic analysis later confirmed they belonged to 3 of the victims. Most disturbing, on the wall, painted in dried blood, was the phrase, "Nullum silentium," no silence. Some investigators believed it was a taunt, others a doctrine. Then came the postcards. Each family received one. Always the same design, a foggy cliff with a lighthouse in the distance. They were signed with the first initial of the missing, E.K.J.R. The text always described the sea, peaceful, watching, patient. Detective Mira Cavanaugh was shaken, not just by the words, but by the fact that each postcard had fingerprints of the missing victims. Kavanaugh pushed harder. She reopened old cases. She tracked down former patients of Holden from his time at St. Claver. Many were institutionalized. Some had attempted suicide. One muttered the same thing over and over. He walks through the fog. On December 19, 2006, Mira disappeared. Her car was running in the driveway. Her walls were covered in red string, photos, notes. Every lead pointed back to Holden. Her last note, he is not alone. In 2013, Evan Keene, a drifter arrested for kidnapping, began mumbling about Bellmoor. In interrogation, he claimed to be one of 3 voices chosen by the Collector, a man who taught them that silence was a gift and disappearance was freedom. He never named Holden, but he described him perfectly. In court, Keene was incoherent, ranting about rituals, sea spirits, and the veil. Holden had grown up in Portsmouth, NH. His mother was a librarian, his father a failed theologian who often quoted dark passages of scripture. Holden was described as brilliant but distant. At 19, he studied ritualistic psychology at Yale, and later became obsessed with the myth of Orpheus, a tale about descending into the underworld to retrieve a soul. He believed society destroyed peace, and that certain people, the quiet, the overlooked, could be released from its noise. Dr. Holden left Bellmoor in 2007. Since then, no verified sightings. Interpol has a file. The FBI has classified parts of it. His last known passport activity was a flight to Norway. Some believe he died. Others say he's recruiting new followers under a different name. In 2021, an anonymous tip led police to a hidden underground room below an old church on Bellmoor's outskirts. Inside were photos of all victims. Elise, Kenneth, Mira, all pinned in a circle. At the center, a single note, handwritten. Those who vanish are not lost. They are beyond noise now. A.H. To this day, the Bellmoor Butcher remains a ghost. Perhaps many ghosts. A whisper in the fog, a shadow among the silence. But some say, if you walk near the cliffs on a quiet night and the fog rolls thick, you can hear their voices, still calling.